Everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you over here at the Roundtable discussion, which is a leadership talk session. So my name is Pooja, HR Manager from Adacom, and I'm happy to greet all of you on behalf of Adacom Media Group. So today, Adacom is hosting its biggest New Normal Education Leadership Summit in Delhi. So now let's start with a roundtable discussion over here where we have invited all our respected academicians. So first of all, thank you so much everyone that you accepted our invite and agreed to be a part of this session today. So now let's start with a roundtable discussion on a very relevant and important topic, which is promoting active learning and student engagement through technology-enabled solution. So the session will be moderated by Dr. Prem Maheshwari, Business Director from D2L. So handing over the mic to you, please take the discussion forward.
Thank you so much. And let's do one thing. Let's get introduced to each other first before we start the discussion, because I think it's a small group. So शुरुआत ऐसे ही करते हैं. I think we can hear each other. I don't think that we need mic, but nevertheless. So let's start from.
I'm OSD at AFT University Raipur, and my head office is Noida Film City, and Dr. Sanjeev, I'm representing him here. Thank you.
Good evening everyone, I am Ajay Bhardwaj. I am Regional Sales Manager at D2L, handling business for India, for North and East region. I is present to meet on this forum with all of you. Thank you.
Good evening everyone. I am Dr. A. Garg. I am the Director of KIT Group of Institute. Delhi NCR Ghaziabad, I very fondly call it. We are a very popular destination among students, and I can say we are the largest private institution under our university, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. It's great to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Good evening everyone. My name is Satyanarayana. I have the privilege of heading a new, young, 1 decade old university called GD Goenka University. We are a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, whatever you want to call university, with having engineering, allied health sciences, law, agriculture, management, education, media, so all the emerging domains of education, and we are especially looking at how do we truly inculcate holistic education through experiential learning by linking knowledge and skill, and more importantly through project-based multidisciplinary activity, so that truly all the education leads equally. I mean, every class is an enabler both for the teacher and the student, so that we are forcing them onto so many things without any relevance to them and asking them to do something. So it is bite, and that's with the design thinking. For example, the whole curriculum. I'll stop here. Sorry.
I think there's a lot of it. We will discuss it. I think there's so many things. I think this is thought-provoking, and one of the subsets of the topic of discussions will be this, of course. How do you manage multidisciplinary, engaging students and faculties and the courses? How do you engage all of them together and ensure that the outcome of the education is fantastic? So nice of you.
My name is NP Singh, and I am very new to private education system. I was in this city for 20 years in this MDI, and presently I am working with the MVN University, which is very near to their university, and it is very new university in the rural area, and we are meeting mainly to the education need of the rural areas, and specifically the education for some areas, girls, is free in that university, because that is the founder, who is no more. His view was that I will provide the free education to the girls of my village. So it has started from there, now it is moving to the different places, and very small university, not a big, but doing some social work also. At the same time, we are imparting education in many areas: agriculture, pharmacy, allied health, engineering, management, social, physical sciences, like that. So this is my knowledge.
Which university?
MBA.
This is known as MVN University. They were having schools in Faridabad. They are known for their schools, but they have now a university also, which is in Palwal district.
It's awesome. It's free for girls.
Yeah, it is free for girls, and
It's really good.
but certainly only few selected villages. I am not saying for all, because
For all, not
you
for
know
all.
that this one of the problem of the private universities or institutions is that there is too much. I mean, say that they are fighting for the survival. Level playing field for the government institutions versus private institutions.
Wonderful, sir. And having spent time in India itself, talks
I
about
belong
your
to that
experience.
area, so I thought after my retirement I will settle down there and I will teach there.
I worked closely with the Dr. Prem Singh.
Oh yeah, I have worked with him for 4 or 5 years because I joined MDI in 2000. Since then I retired in 2020, and since then I am working with MDI.
We are doing a round of introductions, so if you can also introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening everyone. I'm really happy to be part of this also. My name is Professor Anand Pathak. I'm from Lingyas Vidyapith. I'm the Associate Dean, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, and also the Chairman Proctoral Board and the Chief Prof.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Prem Maheshwari. I'm the Regional Director South Asia for this company called D2L, which is in the area of learning management platforms, learning management systems. This is world's #2 most innovative learning management platforms. I'll briefly discuss it during the time of discussions in terms of features and functionalities that are now being offered to the education institutions worldwide. So we're present in almost every continent of the world, and in India, we've been present since past 4 years with 54 clients, including universities like entire Manipal Group, SRM, DIT, many of them. The purpose of connecting today was that let's discuss and brainstorm about 2 critical areas of engagement in a typical university scenario. One is, of course, how to ensure active learning in the institutions, as also ensure how student engagement can be achieved today when we move in the new era of new NEP and nuances that are there. So we'll have a roundtable discussions and amongst ourselves to understand what are the best practices that we can follow, learn from each other, as also look at certain negative aspects or certain areas which are of concern or critical thought that needs to be put on those topics. So we'll discuss amongst themselves. So I have around 31 years of experience in higher education. I've largely worked with US, Singapore and French universities. I've worked with few education groups internationally, largely American groups. And in India, I've worked with IMI and IMT Ghaziabad also, and IMT University in my past career. And currently I'm working with the D2L Corporation as South Asia Director, looking after the business growth and development in this region. I'm happy to say we have a very, very strong footprint in India now as far as international LMS providers are concerned. So it's a little bit, sir, over to you.
Chatar Singh.
सर माइक का यूज कर सकते हैं
So we request you to use the mic.
कैमरे के लिए सर मेक के लिए नहीं कैमरे
Just for the audio purpose. sir.
ऑडियो पर्पस
Chatar Singh, Vice Chancellor, Rai Technology University, Bangalore. Rest of the thing, www.drchatarsingh.com.
Thank you, sir.
I am Ajay Verma, presently Vice Chancellor, Jagannath University, Jaipur, and also holding the charge of Jagannath University, Bahadurgarh, Haryana. So prior to that, I was part of State University, Gurugram University, Hisar, where I worked for about more than 3 decades in the state universities. And now for the last about 10 years, so in the Jagannath University at 2 different places. So that's it.
And thank you. I'm really privileged to be part of this group. So I'm Dr. Rekha. I am representing the NorthCap University. Unfortunately, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Nupur Prakash, could not join the gathering today. I'm heading the IQAC at the university, and NorthCap University almost 26 years old now. Earlier it used to be called ITM University. It's situated very close by. I think it is one of the closest universities from this, situated amongst the industrial hub with your Vihar, and I think we have the locational advantage being within the city, and it's a multidisciplinary university with School of Management, Law and Engineering Technology. Thank you.
I'm Dr. B.L. Bhardwaj. I'm Vice Chancellor of MMU's Sadopur Ambala University. Earlier I was Professor and Principal Government Medical College Patiala. I retired from there, so I'm from the medical profession. My university had all these subjects: engineering, agriculture, architecture, pharmacy, and now all closed. They have shifted to Mulana, which is another university of the same group. And now we are having a medical college, and we are going to start paramedical courses, about 22 paramedical courses. So it will be a health university. You are most welcome if you happen to be there on the Chandigarh side. This is located in Ambala on Chandigarh Road, on the main highway. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Hello everyone. Very happy to be hosting all of you here. My name is Akshata. I work with DL. I'm heading marketing in D2L, along with Dr. Prem, who is heading, he's the director of our sales division, and Jay.
A very good evening to all of you. Myself, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma. By profession, I am a genetic engineering professor. Currently, I am heading the position of Registrar and Pro-Vice Chancellor at Sushant University, Astral Ansar University Gurugram. We are known for our architecture school, that's our flagship program, and considered as one of the best architecture school in the country. We have design program, planning, then we have engineering or law, health sciences, management, hospitality, so almost all the required disciplines are there. Thank you.
So much of academic knowledge in this room. I'm sure that this discussion will be fantastic, and a lot of nuances will be known to all of us. So, the topic of discussion today is essentially promoting active learning and student engagement through technology-enabled solutions. Now, I think all of us are using some sort of technology in our own institutions. And during the recent, the past session, as there was, spearheading the entire session, we were discussing about how technology has changed our lives, especially during COVID, when all of us were forced to adapt technology willingly or unwillingly, and all the classes, all the engagements were happening online. But now, in the wake of new education policy, it has become almost compulsory for all of us to adapt technology in some way or the other and ensure that the management, the faculties, the students, all are aligned and engaged with each other so as to ensure better outcomes. So that's the norm of today. But then the discussion topic, I have split into two areas, two major areas. One is, of course, active learning. How do we promote active learning in our institutions? And second area is student engagement. Now, active learning, it's quite important, as also enshrined in the new education policy. So far, pre-COVID, I think most of the institutions, and when we were studying ourselves, we were students, we were following passive learning. Sitting in a classroom with a professor delivering lecture, you could either sleep, dream, do whatever you want. You were a passive listener to the professor. You could make notes, or you could copy notes from your neighbor, or do whatever, cram the stuff right in the examination, pass or fail. That was passive learning, but technology has changed the entire scenario, and even the students today, they are much technologically advanced than all of us. I think my children use technology better than me, whether it is computer or mobile or any kind of technology, or apps, or ordering food from outside, or ordering a cab from outside, anything you name, they are better users of technology, and they are students. How do we ensure that the students who are active learners be engaged properly? And so that's the topic of discussion. So let's talk about the active learning. which actually, if you see the Google definition of active learning, it encompasses some 7 or 8 items, as part of the active learning, which includes things like role playing, case studies, group projects, think, pair, and share. So the group projects ensure that you're given a topic, you think about that, then you make pairs of students amongst each other, and then share knowledge amongst each other, and then come out with a conclusion. Peer teaching, debates, short demos, class discussions, and also the modus operandi of examinations. So I like to cite a very interesting case of assignments and examinations. So when we used to write examinations, we used to cram the content, go to the examination hall, were asked very specific, precise questions to describe. We used to write the examinations and we evaluated based on that. I used to be the managing director of a B school based out of Singapore, which was co-owned by 16 Ivy League universities. They came out with a unique way of assignments and assessments called OBOW, which is Open Book, Open Web Examinations. What they used to do is that for a typical subject, they used to find a live case study. Any case study of a successful or failed organization somewhere in the world would become a case study. So if it is an accountancy paper, they'll come out with a balance sheet of a company, live, data of which is available on internet. Similarly, marketing or anything, any topic, they would find a live case study. That live case study is given to students. The moment they download that case studies, their time starts for 24 hours. In those 24 hours, they are motivated to cheat. In the sense, they had all the access to the learning material, access to the internet. They could discuss that case study with any number of people they know, and then arrive at a solution. So there's no possibility of plagiarism or cheating, because you have to come out with an innovative solution. The concept was that when we face a typical scenario or a situation in our real lives, that's the way we solve it. We talk to our colleagues, we talk to our seniors, we talk to our friends. If I don't know you, sir, then I'll find out somebody who knows you, sir se help karwa do. And that's how we solve our typical problem in our day-to-day professional and personal lives. So why not in an examination? And that was one of the most toughest examination I've ever seen. I attended one examination question, and the question was, describe 3 of your best bosses and 3 of your worst bosses in your career. And a group was formed. You had to discuss the boss-subordinate styles of 3 best bosses and 3 worst bosses, and then arrive at your own theory of boss-subordinate relationships in a typical organization. And that was the toughest challenge that I ever faced. Coming out of innovative boss-subordinate styles was a tough challenge. What is available in the textbooks is limited. So I think these kinds of innovative ideas will come forward when we're trying to ensure active learning happens. And I think with that I would like to open the debate. And I think, can we start with you, Sanjeev sir? Dr. Sharma.
Yeah.
So what, in your view, do you think that active learning can be implemented in the educational institutions, juxtaposing with the new education policy that is coming up, so as to ensure that active learning happens? Sir.
Topic. If you see that in this room, more than 500 years of experience is sitting, and the entire experience is into education. So active, when we say active anything, it means that energy is involved. Whenever in science, active transport, activation energy, whenever something is active, it has a better performance. And for last several decades, we were discussing only about innovative teaching. We have never discussed about innovative learning. Most of us who are sitting here, we all are teachers, we are parents as well. And we know that the best part with the current scenario, current student, is that they have every information on their fingertips. But the worst part is that they are surviving in the most transformational age of human history. Everything is transforming. Disruption has become a new normal. Change is exponential. And at that time, they have to survive. The skill set is changing. At that stage, if they are not able to do an active learning, then I think the requirement of performance which has reached to the perfection level, they will not be able to achieve. If the learning is not active, the learning may be enjoyable, but it may not be employable. But now, you know, what I feel as a teacher, that the role of education has different definitions, but the role of education is to make the gap, bridge the gap between being human and a human being. And there's the role of the teacher. So if we are able to develop that active learning, which is the need of the hour, when we listen something, we just forget about it. When we read something, we may learn. But when we do something where activity is involved, we understand. Even I will not drive for 50 years, I will not forget driving. So that active learning is basically the need of the hour in case we want to really harness the potential of youth in the country, which is giving us an edge over the entire globe. So I feel, sir, that it is very, very important session, and we really need to understand that how can we more and more activate our learning. Now coming on to NEP, NEP has given two very good things. One is the flexibility to make your expertise in different domains. According to Gartner employability survey, 70% of the managers, they feel that my employees are not having the skill set which are required. 50% of the master's student, they feel that we have not learned that much skill set which is required for the employability. So there's a huge gap. And that gap of skill set, that gap of transdisciplinary learning, that possibility of transdisciplinary learning is given by this NEP. The second thing, there's one more survey which I have read somewhere, that 45% of Indians in the age of 45 feel that they want to change their profession, because they feel that this is not my cup of tea. That flexibility comes from NEP. I'm speaking in a broad sense, that yes, you have learned this credit, now you want to change your domain, you want to shift, you have not committed a crime by studying 1 year civil engineering, and now you feel that medicine is your baby or medicine is your cup of tea, you can shift to that. So sir, active learning, by my concluding remarks for this particular question, active learning is a necessity now, it's not a luxury. And this active learning can be facilitated, it can be eased out, only under the boundaries of this NEP, this selection. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think very enlightening views, and you're right, absolutely, because the kind of jobs that are emerging and the future jobs will be absolutely different from what we learn in universities and education institutions today. I was, passing through a market and I saw MBA chai wala, so I stopped by and went there. I said, what do you mean by MBA chai wala? He said, sir, I have an MBA. अच्छा job नहीं मिला. Salary अच्छी नहीं मिल रही थी. I started some 20 different varieties of chai. Now people come and one cup of tea which is served in cooler costs 100 rupees, and people pay, and he's earning good money. He says, I'm very happy. I'm an entrepreneur now, and that's my passion. So I think the kind of jobs that are emerging forth with the use of technology in a fantastic profession, where I think without active learning, a student cannot become a doctor. I understand that, because he has so much to do. He has to do theories, he has to do practicals, dissections, clinics, your patient history taking, everything. It's a combination of variety of things, and with the NMC coming up with absolutely different modus operandi of teaching and learning, which is competency-based medical education life for the medical colleges, as well as students are going to be absolutely different. And even the examinations, the next examination for PG entrance and the medical entrance examinations are also now will be following the US medical licensing examination pattern. So I think there's a major thrust in the way active learning is happening for medical students at medical colleges. So your insights and inputs on the active learning from the medical colleges perspective.
Everything is to be active in this profession. This is the most difficult profession, you are right to say this. And one needs to be active always. And whosoever is not active in this profession is thought to be not living and not in the competition. This learning for the students earlier, it was of course the same rote learning and content heavy. but the content is still heavier, but rote learning is different now. The learning has changed to skill-based and competency-based teaching learning. Because the NMC has also laid down now very strict conditions that every medical college to start and to continue should have a skill lab. Skill lab is mannequins and so many instruments, so many small and large instruments, machines and everything, aids are there to be for the students, and every student should spend 1 to 2 hours every day or at least 3 days a week in the skill lab. The teachers are also being given that training because teachers were also not that trained, and every teacher now, there is a medical education unit in every medical college and which was non-existent earlier, so that is for teaching the teachers. They have to be active, and then even myself, being a Vice Chancellor, I am sitting in classes for MEU because just I want to be wise and learn new things. So activities and active learning is very important. You can't do without it.
No, I agree. I think few months back I was at Kasturba Medical College in Bangalore, and you're right. They have now medical education department with a separate team whose role is to invite the deans of each and every medical department and ensure that he's using outcome-based or competency-based education in some way or the other. And one thing I observed, sir, what they were doing is that to start with, they were getting some YouTube videos of certain operations and some robotic surgeries from one of the best colleges across the globe, and they were being compulsorily shown to all the students and faculties to ensure that they have the best practices from all over the world. And I think all that stuff is will come to the medical education, which is good for our country.
For your knowledge, one of our colleges, medical college at Ghana, it has the best skill lab teaching in the region. People come from even government colleges, as well as Delhi and Jammu, to learn the things practically there. The skill lab is the best.
Okay, fantastic, sir. Thanks for your valuable inputs. So Dr. Rekha, I think your valuable inputs on the topic of active learning. So how do you ensure, or what are your views about active learning as far as your institution is coming in the future?
Generation is a very unique generation. I like to call it as a half and half generation because most of us grew without technology. We didn't have phones, we didn't have internet or even digital TV, analog TV. So we grew up without technology, but we are having to deal with those who have grown with technology. So it's a big challenge for us, and that's why I like to call it a half and half generation. In fact, to some extent, I would also not agree to this that we were doing passive learning. We were actually doing active learning because we were not distracted. When we used to be in classrooms in the school or colleges, we were focused, much more focused than what these students are at this, because there were no distractions. There was no internet, no mobile phones. We never went out to check our mobile phones while the teacher was. We would listen to them. So we were present there. And that's why there's a huge challenge for us to make these students get involved and get involved. So we have to now, evolve. We have to think of new ways how to engage them. And at our university, what we are trying to do, we are experimenting. There is one method which was mentioned in one of our panelists, flipped classroom. We tried doing that. We asked the students to study and gave them some topics, but it was not very well taken because we know the students are so much used to spoon feeding nowadays. They want everything, all the content available on LMS and internet. They want everything to be told by the teacher. They do not want to do self-learning. So the concept of self-learning is gradually reducing, and what it's boiling down to is more of their involvement in the class. classroom. So by using discussion boards, by the concept of flipped classroom, and in fact even gamification and team building, those kind of exercise we are trying to introduce to have better active learning. And of course digital technologies play a big role in making this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Very relevant aspects, ma'am. Yeah, you're right. The span of attention of today's students is very less, and it's very difficult to engage them. And this is a major task for institutions and faculties to ensure that they understand what is being taught. And you're right. I think gamification plays a very critical role, because if you see most of these students today, they play various video games. Once they cross a certain level, they are motivated to go to the next level and so on and so forth. So now the LMSs are built in such a way that they ensure gamification. So if you clear a certain examination or a quiz, you are motivated to go to the next level and so on and so forth. So every time you need to learn, you need to engage yourself, you have to study more, discuss more, and then and only then you are able to get to the other level. And then once you clear that level, you are rewarded with certain online badges. And this is the competition between and among students. Okay, तुम्हारे पास कितने badge हैं, मेरे पास कितने badge हैं. So all that is happening. And I think that's the way the current generation loves to learn. And I think we as educators need to also change our pedagogies, our modus operandi of teaching, so that they learn better. I think you're absolutely right. A span of attention is reduced. And the second part of our discussion would talk about student engagement as well. So I think, great ma'am, thanks for your inputs. Great, so Verma sir, your inputs can.
Thank you, sir. All the participants sitting in this room are very senior persons engaged with the higher education sector. And we all understand the issues, the areas which need to be focused. And this today, this topic which has been taken for discussion here, promoting active learning and student engagement through technology-based enabled solutions. Actually, if we look at the real issues in the higher education, quality is one issue, employability is the issue. And because of all this change that has happened due to globalization of the economy, IT revolution, then now NEP, major disruptions that are there in the education sector. Now we find that all of the scenario is changed. Today teachers come to us and they say, sir, attendance is very poor in the classes. Students are not attracted to come to the classes. And the engagement of the student, even if they are sitting in the class, they are not actively engaged in the process of learning. So there are serious issues. And for that, we as an administrator need to understand the changing human behavior, the people's psychology, the society, the culture. Now we find that these days, all of us experience that at homes also. I have a grandson of 5 years, and if he is not taking food, so his mother will say, okay, Mama, video dikhao. So he will see video and then will eat the food. Now similarly, if you travel in the public transport, you anywhere, everyone is busy in the smartphone, looking at the videos or these WhatsApp messages. Everyone, no one is talking to anyone. Which means those are the things which are engaging people. In education sector also, we need to take ideas that how we can engage our students in the classroom in this new normal situation. Where everyone, it means that these videos are engaging people. This WhatsApp is engaging people. Now, in education also, that traditional the methods, so those don't work, and we have to change the methodology. We need to change the methodology, and that is why now these days we are talking of preparing videos and animations or simulations or these type of the methods, other things which we are talking here. Let these today's student can be engaged. We can engage them, but we will have to change. We will have to provide the methods, or we have to use the tools which suit or match to their requirements, their behavior patterns. So it means that in every discipline it is relevant. So this animations is one very good method that I'm sure that student will be engaged. But when we talk to our teachers that you should prepare some videos, you should do that thing, so they still have the old mindset that no, we can do it better like that. So that is why student is not attracted in the classes. That means it is a real issue, and this technology provides solution to all these issues. Technology is there, we have to adopt it. We have to train our teacher. Today no teacher, at least in my university, there is no teacher. If I ask them to prepare some animation like that, some videos, so they are not motivated for that.
That's a challenge.
That is a challenge. So we have to train them. We have to motivate them. This is the only method. Because today's student will be engaged only through these type of tools. So technology is there, adoption of technology is required, and training is required for that purpose. So at senior level, all people, we have to also change our mindset. That old thought process will not work. It is not going to work if we have to engage the students. So active, and we talk of that our ancient system was good, and then the college system came, and that disrupted the whole thing. That it was only sharing information, and on the basis of information, that there is examination and you get the degree. So now this NEP has, which is very beautiful document, it has given so many good recommendations. We talk of now that creativity is important, innovations are important, research is important, technology use is important. All these things are relevant. So accordingly, we have to change. So the requirement is knowledge, skills, ultimately promoting employability. So that will be only possible when the student is also involved in the process. So that is my
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
Continuous learning.
Continuous learning, and also you are right. Since the student is dynamic, since the student understands, uses technology, that's the way they have learned right from their childhood. So we also have to change as educators. वही करना पड़ेगा जो तुमको वो पसंद वही बात करेंगे. Otherwise तो फिर आप नहीं सकते. So why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll have your views. So you and ma'am, if you could introduce yourselves, that would be great. And then the topic that we're discussing.
So my name is Dr. T.R. Pandey, and I'm looking after there's a college called Ajay Kumar Garg Institute of Management in Ghaziabad. Sir knows me, and we're very close. So I suppose you're enjoying, and I was supposed to take part in the next panel discussion. Somehow, I don't know, the time is running in a different manner. So that's what. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Gupta. So I'm the Director of Strategic Management for Mangalmay Group of Institution. And along with these assignment, I am having my own two startup. One is Ported Private Limited and the second one is Brain Cruise Private Limited. And fortunately, I got the seed funding of 2 CR recently. And Google, thank you so much. And Google is like my idea. So Google is ready to nurture this product, which is Ported Private Limited, where I'm connecting buyers, suppliers and transporter at one platform, and I got a very big client, NTPC, in my portfolio, the first client. So, I generally, as we were discussing, that this is a big issue and big challenge. So I generally say to my student, at the age of 50, when I can take this courage to have my own startup, where I'm working as a director and I was in a very, very comfortable zone, where you just need to instruct and strategize. Faculties are ready to do the things. But I thought to break this chain. I thought when things are working on and people are doing, why I cannot do. So student really liked, and 4 startup. One is missionmentor.com, espectrum.com, foodpanda.com, takeration.com. These all 4 startups are under my mentorship. And student, I have 10% equity share of these all 4 startup along with the student. Student have really worked hard. When I thought student can do at this age and I have an experience how I cannot do, so then I left my job, full-time job as a director. I was working in IMS for 11 years as director academics. So I left my job, full-time job, because full-time job was not allowing me to do all these things, but I was having a lot of thirst and courage, to do. I discussed with my management was not ready to do it along with the job. So I thought, let me leave the job I can get any time, but I would not get this time, which courage I am developing in my mindset. So I started working, freelancing with various institutions, 3-4 institutions currently I am working. I am working as a Vice Chancellor with Switzerland University, Estonia. And at the same time, with Mangalmay group of institutions, where I am working once in a week, I go to these institutions and playing as a role of Director Strategic Management, which is again a freelancing for 2 years contract. Along with this, I started working on my own venture. So what I personally feel that we have an experience and students have digital exposure. So definitely we have to change ourselves first. Then only we can change this student, because they are the next gen kids and they really expect a lot from us. Why there is a distraction among the students? Because we are not empowered, to be very honest. We are not empowered. When we are not empowered, then how we can deliver those things to the student? Because बच्चे को हमसे ज़्यादा आता है. I do not feel ashamed to say this, because they are exposed of this environment all the time. They are in front of the social platforms, which giving them lot of information. Of course, that is a question of debate how effective this information is, how effective this data is. Of course, that's a question of debate. But then they have lot of time, they have that mindset, and they are exposed to this virtual and global environment. But somehow, at this age, we are very reserved, conservative, and we are not improving ourselves based on the need of the students. So, of course, mindset change is very important. As far as AR, VR and gamification, I think every institution soon, a bit or maybe 10% or 20%, every institution is using the same. Pandemic has really realized that how this critical thinking and design thinking is very essential, because these are 21st century skills. We have to adopt it, then only we can engage the student. So those institutions have taken this step, they are flourishing. Those who have not taken, somehow we are facing the problem of less attendance, students are not doing things good, we have incubation center, we have center of entrepreneurship, but somehow I personally feel that various institutions have these things on paper just for the sake of statutory compliances, or maybe for various accreditation or ratings or rankings. But how effective these cells are working, that is again the question. We have to really analyze and think that how many startups we are developing out of this center. Are we really getting the seed funding, or we are raising the venture capital? So somehow I break my own mindset, I change my own thought process, and I feel like now I am working like students, because I am learning every day. Because working on a startup, and then when you have left your job and you are working in this environment, it really needs a courage. So I've taken that courage. Thank you.
Inspiration to all of us sitting in this room and to the students who see you as their role model. And I think entrepreneurship is one area where people at our age normally dare to venture. So this could be a fantastic use case for all the students. So Dr. Pandey, in case you could
also talk
So
about...
was it to the both panels of these now?
I think I'm not very sure.
Almost, yes, almost, because time says like that only. Anyway.
What we are discussing today is about active learning. So one is active learning. How do we ensure that our students who are in our institutions engage themselves into active learning? And second part of this discussion would be student engagement tools that could be used using technology to ensure that proper student-teacher engagement happens. So currently we're discussing about active learning. So your views about active learning in our institution.
I was listening to ma'am very carefully, and when I say active learning and when we expect engagement from the students, first we have to answer it ourselves, whether we are active first, whether we are engaged first, or we just making fun of what we call education 4.0. I believe, we have come down, rather we have got limited only to education 2.0, and we think, that is all, that is the biggest ocean and we have to dive and swim around. So problem is there only. there was various tools, earlier also, I believe 20 years back when I entered into this field. So I was teaching marketing and economics, So rarely there was, this internet users in the classroom too much because either the speed was too, slow or the facility was not available. So we used to make collage, to arouse the interest of the students in the classroom. So we used to, work hard. I'm telling you, I used to spend around 4 to 5 hours for 50 minutes or, 1.5, quarter minute of, class. So somehow I was successful, in creating that kind of curiosity and interest among the students. And that used to be a different lot. But over a period of time, with the arrival of, good internet speed and, so many other byproducts out of internet, there were, divergences from both sides, teachers as well as students. So both have got diverted. You see the teacher is sitting in the classroom mostly busy on the internet, mobile phone, laptop, or doing something else. My point is, there are two things, it's a fight between opportunists and skeptics, we say, don't use internet too much, it is spoiling. In fact, I personally will, share my own example. I've got my son, he's in class 12. So most of the time he's busy, sir, on, video learning through physics wala, through this and that. There are so many walas these days, math wala, physics wala, subject wala. It is a number of, education hawkers are there on the net these days. Right? So I often get disturbed, just doubting as to whether actually he's listening to them or he's listening to some other channels or some other, he's watching something else. And the moment I knock, he has configured the system in such a manner that I'm not able to trace as to what he was doing a few seconds back. Although I take myself, I think myself to be more expert than him, but still I'm, unsuccessful when it comes to, checking that. At times I believe I'm wrong. I'm one of those skeptics who believe that uses of internet, uses of new technologies, gamification, uses of, new technology that are coming across, they are just spoiling and they're not correct. Because I have gone through completely different system wherein I believe, once until it is, book open in front of you and you practice out of, the book's question, you're not actually learning. That mindset has already got rooted into me, and I believe it is very, very difficult for people to erase it, at least in this generation, until I breathe my last. That is what. So, somewhere, charity begins at home, let me say it. We will have to think of something, wherein we ourselves are futuristic in its approach. We will have to set this mindset that, let us not look at the technology with a sense of doubt and a sense of depression and sense of what you call disappointment. Probably, let me say it, among the academic fraternity, it has become like, when I say new technology, AI is coming, ML is coming, there are so many things. First thing that comes to my mind is whether my job is safe going forward or not. And that is where, the whole skepticism, the whole, negativity against all this technology, they start creeping in my mind. So, there's a professor, he's from IT Delhi, he keeps on coming, in some capacity or the other at my place in management college only. At times when I look at him, because he's retired altogether, he doesn't have anything to look forward, because he does not look out for some new job or anything else. He's much more convenient, much more expert, knowledgeable, aware of technology and futuristic learning than I am. I'm confessing it openly here, right? It concludes to say that I'm somewhere afraid, of my own system, with which I'm surrounded. So somehow we need to come out of it. And sir was very right. I was just wondering when he was saying, most of the time we spend on WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. There's so many other social medias, watching, talking, chatting, doing something or the other. Somehow, sitting at one place, we spend hours and hours without knowing that it is 5 to 7 p.m. now. If this is the case with this, person who is going to touch his 50, trust me, those who were in the class, around 22 years or 24 years of age, they will be more riveted, they will be more attracted, and clung to those, reels or videos than anybody else can be. So you are very right. हो तुमको जो पसंद वही बात कहेंगे. I'll just correct it. At the moment, until we change ourselves first, उनको जो पसंद है वो अलग चीज है फिर हम वो बात नहीं कर सकते. You will have to make it so that, in fact, I was going through one particular book of Philip Kotler. He says, don't make what customers want. Make them buy what you want. So what you make first, and then make them buy it. That goes in the classroom as well. You will have to create a situation wherein they start liking. Because now we know their nerve. Now we know what they like. And therefore, if we know that, what is wrong in creating what they like? If everything is there around us. So it is a matter of willpower. It's a matter of a bit of introspection and devotion to time beyond just 50 minutes or 1 hour of classroom that we are supposed to see. Today, if you see, often, to make a professional, you need 10 to 15 years of support and nurturing of a, beginner at assistant professor level. But what happens these days? The faculty is busy doing something or the other. The moment it is 11 a.m. or 12 a.m. p.m., it is time to enter to the classroom. They immediately will go to the classroom as if they are learned and they will come back happily after the class is over. And when you say, you cannot just ask a professor, sir, class पे कितना time? 1 घंटा कुछ पढ़ा, 2 घंटे कुछ पढ़े कि नहीं पढ़े? अरे सर, अब इस उम्र में पढ़ने की क्या हो सकता है? मुझे बहुत देख लिया, तो किताबों से तो भरे पढ़े. I can write, and to my surprise, to all dismay, at the same time, these people, they write n number of books, n number of times. A, B, C, D, strategy, marketing, finance, accounts, HR, leadership even. And there is no, software to catch hold of their plagiarism at all. Right? So problem is not there. Problem is lying here only. We need to come out of it.
Visualization of what the reality is in terms of active learning. Thank you so much for this.
Somewhere interference of the technology. I wish to tell you one thing that I have been professor of computer science throughout my life, but I taught in a management school. So the technology I was learning, I was knowing, that is not sure, but I'm learning, still I'm learning the technology. Active learning, there is no doubt about that, we need it. But again, I was attending a conference where one professor, 20 years back like me, when I'm today in that position, he says, I will say that active learning has the importance in this country when there will be a matrimonial by somebody, I am a plumber, and I earn 1 lakh rupees per month, and somebody will come having good degrees to marry me. Otherwise, active learning has no meaning. And this is the reason that why most of the engineering colleges are not surviving in the today's world, but IITs are surviving and NITs are surviving. Sir ने शुरू में कहा था कि in the beginning that open book, case method, everything. So it reminds me of being in a management school. When you go to the first day in the classroom, the student will ask, sir, it will be open book or closed book? If you say it's a closed book, they say, oh, no sir, please. At least the midterm should be open book. As far as the system, open book is a very good system, but how it is being implemented. Because everywhere the problem is of the implementation. Okay. Coming to the case method, Harvard is publishing a case of the 20 page, 30 page. Teaching note is another 30 page. How many days you need to teach it? They do not think that this cannot be taught in the class, but still they say that it is for the teaching purpose. It has to be 2 page, 3 page, 4 page, 10 page.
but not 50 pages. So problem is with us as a teachers. Because we come with a very good system, then we spoil it over a period of time. I quote another example. In MDI, we used to teach the armed forces people. When they retire, then they can come to MDI, and it is funded by their Defense Resettlement Department. Yeah, Defense Resettlement Department. I used to teach in the first semester and often the first class. They used to ask me only one question, sir, exam will be question based or case based? Then I asked them one day, what's the difference between the two? They say, sir, question is having an answer. But case has no answer. Every answer is correct. So you can just see that what is the perception about your new interventions in the mind of your client. Recently, according to the new education policy, there was some question bank is to be prepared. We ask all the teachers, they are very busy otherwise because the number is always very less in private institutions. They said, we will do it. Within 2 days, the whole question bank was ready. Chat GPT, so many GPTs, everything is ready. It is as per the syllabus, or it is going to be taught or not taught. Again, the implementation is the big issue. So the technology per se is not an issue, it is needed. It is always needed. In some subject it is less need, some subjects certainly, if I am teaching a zoology botany, I have to make a figure. I cannot make on the board. I need the technology to teach, and I can animate it, I can show the function of that also. Everything I can do. But the technology is not a solution to your education crisis that you have to find. It is a solution to very specific micro level problems of the education ecosystem. It is not more than that. Coming to a little bit about the younger generation, certainly they have the technology, they enjoy it, they like it. You cannot stop it. I don't want to take any lecture to my learned colleagues, but I just want to mention one thing. I read a book of economics long back, written by Konrad Reeve, a Russian economist. He says in that book, this book was written somewhere in the 70s, that the world economic cycle has the 50 years. When there is a recession, it gives birth to a new technology. And at that time, the people were developing the nuclear weapons, heavy weaponry for the defending to the Third World War. But then the time came, they dismantled it, treaties were signed, and the IT came into the existence. IT has to be there for 50 years. And in the same book, he has predicted that if the Malthus theory proves wrong, it will be era of genome theory, because we will be needing the food for this population. So this cycle and these things keep on going on, you cannot stop it. Okay. Coming to one point, employability, I just want to share it. Industry must understand it. We do not produce specific product. We produce the generic product. Everywhere I am seeing that the whole engineering colleges were destroyed because the industry says that the students are not capable, syllabus is outdated, something like that. Engineering is being taught without chemistry, physics, and math in the universities nowadays. Everywhere they say we are teaching AI, we are teaching ML, we are teaching all IoT or whatnot. But you tell me one thing, that how an engineer can survive without mathematics. That is the key. So we have to tell the academia has to tell the industry, we do not produce the product for your company. We produce what? For generic. If you want to give us the guarantee, I will take your 60 students batch, I will teach it for you. Okay. So employability is not an issue, it is the mindset. Okay. I did my computer science with the punch cards. I was not knowing even the C and S. But with the blessing of Almighty, I became professor. Okay. So what I'm just trying to tell you that we have to change our mindset. And I will not take much time because there are many more speakers are here. Certainly, but I want to say at the end, technology is not bad. We as academicians should do our duty, how to use it, and tell the students how not to use it. And we have to design the systems where the students are forced not to use it, and we are forced to say that how to use it. Unless we take that responsibility, the system will not work. Thank you very much.
Fantastic view, sir. Academician. We often, in the wake of technology everywhere, forget about men. So what I feel is that management is manage men and T. T stands for technology. So if you're able to manage both men and technology in the best possible way, your management skills are
very nice examples.
Only one saving grace for the technology was the pandemic.
Yes. Where everyone can justify the existence of
Everyone can
technology.
justify whatever technology we're using. If I wish the Almighty should not give any other pandemic in the next 60 years or 100 years. Otherwise, we have to be very cautious in using the technology in the education also. It should not be used blindly. That is my concern.
So next I'll request.
I think I have been lucky that over the last 38 years I have been involved in, even before people talked about entrepreneurship, innovation, and whatever experiential learning. Whether I was in industry, R&D lab, academics, or even policy planning in US Embassy, it was always new field, starting from scratch, learning many things mandatorily because we are completely ignorant. So it had been a wonderful, enjoyable experience, and I'm happy to say that in the last 15 years, I've come back from, say, being from diplomatic process to academic. We have truly worked on active learning, because I think today, as everybody has already been talking, the attention span has literally come down to 28 to 32 seconds for a student. And in this span, I think if we are going to talk about passive learning, I think we are simply fooling ourselves, and it's obviously reflected in all our academic process. So active learning is mandatory, that's given. And then when you're doing active learning, I think if we are doing it right, the student engagement by default happens. So it cannot be otherwise. So now if you want to do that, so therefore now again students today are very opinionated, they have their own choices, they have their own preferences. So I think first of all, whatever we want to teach, we need to make sure we define a purpose which is relevant to them. And that purpose which is relevant has to be so enabled that you see whether it is the relevance of it, and it has to be realistic, and it has to be challenging and exciting for them, because the excitement is again a key requirement. And plus, even doing all of this, somewhere gives space for reflection in the active learning that we are going to engage or facilitate the student into. So now, if we have to do that, I think all our pedagogy already says that, as we all know, our education pedagogy always said, well, there has to be a learning objective, there has to be. So the same thing, I think we want to call it as, how do you enable this in terms of their, say, relevance of an issue. You actually go through backward design. So how do you define the outcome that you want? That's why it is a lesson objective. The tools, assessment, the process of doing it, and then again facilitating through reflection whether they have understood it or not. How do we build it through a backward design is the process we need to bring it. So to do that, for that active learn to be effective, I think we need to have a wonderful metrics for assessment of the outcome. So suppose if I say today we are all talking of, first foundation skills, quantitative skills, then critical thinking, creative thinking, analytical thinking, maybe societal, emotional quotient, societal engagement, sustainability, because all this NEP is mandating us to deliver. So sustainability, and so all of this, and plus holistic in terms of humanistic values, ethics, integrity, all of this has to come. So all of this can never be done by some Bloom's taxonomy. So if it has to happen, it has to happen through project-based learning. So by default, active learning is already coming in everything that we want to do. So we are, but then if I force all of this onto the teacher to do without the teacher getting any outcome, therefore the relevance and the purpose and the reflection benefit has to be both for the teacher and the student in whatever we do. So the onus is on us, because so far as we said we have been doing to know education, अंग्रेजों ने कह दिया हमने कर दिया, मतलब अभी भी मतलब रटे रटाए तोते जैसे जो भी मतलब वो कह दिए तो चलता था। तो लेकिन आज वो चलेगा नहीं। अब टीचर को भी उतना ही, वी हैव यंग फैकल्टी, अब सीनियर फैकल्टी कम है, सॉरी मतलब एक्सपीरियंस सीनियर, अब क्योंकि इतने सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन हो गए, हर एक्सपीरियंस फैकल्टी समवेयर डीन, डायरेक्टर, वाइस चांसलर समथिंग, लेकिन मोस्ट ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटीज हैव ओनली यंग फैकल्टी फ्रेश आउट ऑफ देयर PhD or a few years of PhD, again a very irrelevant PhD, they don't even, if their PhD was right or wrong, I will not comment on it. I mean, what is the quality of the PhD? Was there truly a methodology or process into that? That's a different ballgame. So, unko abhi, lekin they are still competent, capable. They need the right hand holding, just like the student. So, what we are saying is, how do we use this active learning, project-based activity which the NEP mandates, multidisciplinary, immersive, experiential learning? Link all of them together with the design thinking and make sure that before the semester, we broadly look at the teachers who are teaching a semester. What are their areas of interest? Can we define a few broad projects linked to there and then give this choice to the student and then say, in the semester, all the 4 or 5 subjects that you're doing, the project-based activity assignment for each of the subjects are common. I mean, they will be linked to one project-based activity or two, whatever. So they form 2 or 3 broad areas relevant to teacher. Students will be taught the fundamentals. And we would mandatorily have, I mean, for example, quiz and everything. And we are, for example, I'm just trying to say some small methodology we are trying to do for active learning. So we are now converting classes no more into just 50 minutes or whatever. Maybe it is a 50 plus 50 or 2 hours type of class, so that in the class, as she and all of us already others have mentioned, so it is mandatory, teacher gives a brief overview, he is not the sage on the stage, content anyway is given ahead, and just like case-based studies and all of it has already been happening in management. Yes. So they have to study, and in between the teacher gives an overview and students have already been given assignment for blended and flipped mode, whatever integrated, but it's all linked to a broader project. That it could be say electrical mobility, it could be waste management, it could be the policy for women, empowerment, whatever. So, and it's integrated assignment projects are brought out and students are made to again bring in the assessment metrics, foundation correlation. If there's a quantitative requirement, what is that correlation? In everyday presentation when he's doing over the semester for 4 or 5 in a peer reviewed process where 4 or 5 teachers sit together to remove bias and make sure all expertise is available. So to equal qualitative, critical thinking, analytical thinking, and again contextual, local, regional, national, international, some example you will have to bring in, right? Even if he doesn't know, he has to think something, for each student has to write something independent. It is, and somewhere they collectively work on it, but somewhere they also write independently, and also look at issues of sustainability, because even they, see, it's an English literature class, because the process is same for everybody. It is agnostic to the domain. So even if it is English literature and they are saying, vernacular language publication and English language publication and policy enabling for women. So if there's a comparison, they say again, say how much is coming in digital, how much, so was it environmentally friendly or was the book, what happened, something like that, looking at some way correlation to sustainability, to even circular economy and societal engagement. We are putting this metric so that they start thinking of all the skills. They start, and when they are assessed, they are simultaneously assessed for oral, written, presentation, all of those skills, and then collectively when the class completes that, there is a possibility of a case study, or if it's an industry-based activity, possibility of consultancy, or if we can define some parameters, next semester developing a product process solution. So everything is now outcome-driven, project-based activity, and putting the challenge, and somewhere these assignments are so designed that even before the term begins, we have looked at the students, even done a survey to assess what are their broad areas of interest, so that somewhere some interest is there. And also indirectly also telling in true choice-based credit sense, I mean, I could be a management student, but I'm interested in medical domain, I could look at pharma, I could look at medical instrumentation, or if I'm an engineer looking at music, I could simply say, how do I develop a next app for music? So bring some of their choice based, and equally link it to, so if there's a signal processing, image processing, I mean embedded coding person in electronics, they will be associated in the service. So sorry for a long-winded answer, but see, we are putting a structured process for outcome, and that outcome equally enables the teacher and the student, but even with simple fundamentals, correlating it to something exciting, so that next, if the student is interested, he works with the concerned teacher for his project or publication or whatever. And for example, just last year, multidisciplinary, between even engineering, medical, all of them work together. 95 student projects done, and they were taught a design thinking course and a course on innovation and something like that. And so these 95 projects led to at least 95 papers in 3 different journals. It led to 12 patent filing, 5 incubation of company process, just from 1 year of multidisciplinary activity. And just in the last 15 years, accidentally I have been doing this from the time I left my US Embassy job and joined some college in Bangalore called RV College. So we have been able to, by practicing some of this multidisciplinary experiential learning, create about 1,000 crores of infrastructure, 150 industry-based labs with their investment, and in 3 private institutions, not much, but about 150 crores of government grants, about 100 incubated company. So and most of the time we started, for example, when India's first Pico satellite was launched, neither my teacher nor my student knew it. Students were interested, we allowed them to work on it. They went to a conference in Glasgow and won an award for their design concept. So from that we then allowed them to work with 4 other local colleges, and that led to India's first and except for the launching of that 1.5 kg Pico satellite, everything was right. IIT, Anna University were all funded by government, no funding, but these projects, when the ejection mechanism did not work, ISRO developed it, satellite launched. A student assignment on say a solar car and driverless car led to a car which ran a 3,000 kilometer by the 3rd year, rally in Australia, about 2.5 crore expenditure. Our expenditure was 20 lakhs. Rest came from industries who again, each stage we went to industry, they presented some. So the key point I'm saying is, we are always undermining our students' ability to work, their passion and their ability. True. And our limitation, as I said, my ignorance, I'm thinking my student doesn't know. So therefore, I think active learning is an exciting concept. If even the most incompetent student, as per our prior assessment, goes abroad, he becomes a world leader. So somewhere it is my delivery and my assessment is a problem, not the student's competence. Right. So seriously, let us believe in them, give them the opportunity, and we don't have to have everywhere structured content. I mean, see, most of the developed universities don't have all the serious syllabus and pedagogy and ticking every checklist. But still there, for example, I always recently say New University in Boston. So they sort of started off without a syllabus. They said, engineering, bachon ko padna, you see, please work on whatever you like. And from the toy or the product you're working, go back, these are the fundamental subjects. How do you look, where do you correlate? And now today they are one of the most innovative universities ahead of Stanford and Princeton. So I believe active learning is the key for India to transform to whatever it's 7 or 10 trillion, or enable all these people to get jobs or become entrepreneurs. And equally teachers will be gainers, as you rightly said. So for example, the first batch when we were BML Munjal University, my first batch student, we created even facility for fabricating integrated circuits there, Industry 4.0. That student, he initially failed in 15 subjects in the first 2 semesters, but somehow managed to pass all of them by the end. He and his 3 colleagues who are involved in some mobility activity today have a startup company with about 25 crores of, this is one of them, 25 crores of grant, monthly income of 1 million for electronic waste management, and they use all the facility in the university that we created. Again, and no disrespect to IIT, none of them have created at the level what they have done in 1,000 crores, we have done in 15 crores. And they are able to show that and generate a company. So I seriously want to say that NEP has finally given us a option to truly take on and give up all our excuses for not working and being unethical and unrealistic, to truly move on and enable the students, and first of all enable ourselves to be truly academic leaders. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful rendition. I thought in the initial conversation you mentioned about the attention span of students, which is very short. So do you think that bite-sized learning or micro-credentials or very small learning bites given to students using technology either on their smartphones or would be helpful, or do you think that still won't work?
No, you see, we need to keep their excitement. So how do we excite it? So you keep it pithy. Because in the age of Twitter and Instagram, so we need to excite them. That's why the excitement has to be created, but as we can be relevant, link it to a relevant purpose with realities and bigger challenges which excite them. So that is where design thinking comes in, as he was also, so we will have to, whether you उनके अपने मर्जी में जो कराना है उनसे कराना चाहते हो, या मतलब उनके मर्जी के भी है, हमारे फायदे के भी है, वैसे कराना चाहते हैं. We need to have a design thinking, a strategic plan, so link it to, from their, as I say, literature study or state-of-art reviews to simulation or case-based studies, all of them seamlessly linking, then defining parameters to implementation process to life cycle. All of them can be build it as a bigger picture in everything, and different domains can come in. For example, if I'm just doing electrical mobility, today it is noiseless. Okay, and if in all of India where electrical mobility है, मैं horn भी दबाऊँ कोई रास्ते से हटता नहीं. Then how will I know what is the technology? So from sociological and psychological study on how do I influence people to stop or respect road rules or move out of the jaywalking principle, to technological intervention that has to come in because it can accelerate fast, slow down fast, even 30 kilometers causes speed, causes so much of damage. It means you have everybody to come in, policy, sociology, psychology, engineering, mechanical, all sorts of people again, because mechanical stuff to electrical mobility, 1 million components to 50 or 100 component. So from HR, everybody can, so we say, how do we look at it holistically? We start working together, giving up our, clearly understanding we don't know everything, and somewhere professor will know something, somewhere professor will know that. This is how I think we should move forward.
Fantastic, sir. I think.
Actually, I just want to add with your permission, unless we know that why the young, while they are just passing out from even the good schools, why the people are not getting converted into the entrepreneurs?
I think
just for that, there should be some studies.
Let them finish first round, then we can.
Yeah, I think because of the paucity of time,
let's quickly go around the table. So why don't we start with you? Your valuable views.
Just pass.
Pathak Sabha.
Thank you once again, sir. Good evening, everyone, once again. I don't think this elite group has left anything for me to share. Well, I try to be very much precise and brief. So let me start with assessment first. See, as academicians, I feel that we should start from assessment first. Why? Because there is a difference between assessment and evaluation. Assessment should start right at the beginning when I get the student, when I get to meet the student for the very first time. Evaluation is something that out of 100, how much he or she scored. That happens towards the end. And it has to be a continuous evaluation process. So all of us, we know what is the form of summative and formative examination. So assessment is something which includes human touch, that includes certain aspects of human behavior, so that we can identify that, okay, I have got this slot, and what is the kind of thinking of this particular student, and how he should be able to do justice to this particular course. It is basically identifying his or her core strengths or areas of improvement. That's one point. Second, I would like to offer a very small anecdote. So a mechanic, he visited a doctor, and उन्होंने डॉक्टर से पूछा कि सर आपकी सैलरी इतनी ज़्यादा होती है, मैं भी तो पुर्जे ठीक करता हूँ और मेरी सैलरी इतनी कम क्यों होती है? तो डॉक्टर ने उसे जवाब दिया ना, कभी जब इंजन चल रहा हो ना, जो ऑन हो, तब उसे ठीक करके देखना. So this is, I am trying to relate with hands-on experience and minds-on experience. It is not necessary that we are doing something like practical some lab mein kar rahe hote hain. That does not necessarily mean it is hands-on as well as minds-on. Hands-on and minds-on is just what I said. When doctor is performing a surgery, it is at the very same time it is hands-on and minds-on. So we have to trigger that thing. And we also need to understand that not everything that one needs to learn can be taught. There are certain things that are left to know, some experience. Right. And finally, yes, as teachers, what we can do is we can always help them with scaffolding. This is the term which is normally used in civil engineering. Now, scaffolding is something which follows the rule of 80-20 principle in teaching. To call it pedagogy or maybe anthropology. So it is all about teaching a teacher as a facilitator. So what we do is we teach for, let's say, 20% of the time and 80% of the time for the students to perform. And scaffolding is supporting them, pushing them, so that they can actually find out their faults, identify their areas of improvement, and start working on those areas. So these are basically 2-3 points that I would like to share. Thank you so much.
So much. Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you. Very little left for me to say after hearing such a wonderful thought. But I couldn't agree more with each one of you. Whatever has been said, I fully endorse that. And I must at the outset thank Dr. Prem sir for bringing so much of energy into the room. It's really wonderful. See, the active learning. To my mind, once we look at our colleges, I think most of us, we find that we are struggling with attendance. That's what I think we discussed. And I was very amused when I found that one of our student group, they created a app कि एक क्लास अटेंड करेंगे तो कितना अटेंडेंस हो जाएगा, एक क्लास मिस करेंगे कितना डाउन हो जाएगा. So that is the innovation they have done it and they are using it very actively. कि भाई 75 होना चाहिए मेरा, उसके नीचे डाउन नहीं होना चाहिए. So it means that there is no active learning what we are able to give. While I see that some of my friends, my children did not study out of the country, but some of my friends' children, they studied in European countries. Once I interacted with them, I find that yes, those children, they are so, कहते हैं कि सर यहाँ पे आके आत्मा तृप्त हो गई, पढ़ाई का क्वालिटी ऐसा है कि आत्मा तृप्त हो गई. मैंने कहा भी कैसे तृप्त हो गई? कहते तो थोड़ा सा क्लास में पढ़ाते हैं, उसके बाद जो है लर्निंग हमें खुद करनी पड़ती है. We do the assignments, we apply ourselves. We create something. So I think that is what we need to work on. As Dr. Pandey mentioned, I think Dr. Pandey mentioned कि हम लोग जो बचपन से हम पढ़ाई करते थे, हमने ये था भी जो किताब में लगा उसको कॉपी करो. So that is a way of teaching. That is a way of learning. That is how we all have grown up. But that is an academic disintegrity. That is not the right way of teaching. So probably हमारा जो environment है, India being, वो हमने आज़ादी ली और हमने कहा कि नहीं हमें आगे बढ़ना है. Somehow we have not gone into active learning mode. That is what we need to correct, and I feel that national education policy, you mentioned that is the correct platform because they want that आपके industry ready होने चाहिए students. Now I fully agree with sir that we don't have to make a specific industry ready students, but we need to make a generic industry ready students, and that is where, to my mind, as Dr. Satyanarayan sir mentioned about the Bloom's taxonomy, I think that comes into play very, very clearly. We should not work on understanding, remembering methodology. वो छोड़ देना चाहिए हमको. We must work on the higher order thinking skills, apply, analyze, evaluate, and if possible create, as sir has mentioned about the project based learning. So I think this is a very, very important thought on which we need to work, and I think this is what needs to be done. Now I'll quickly just mention about one point which was brought out by Dr. Verma sir. About the teacher mindset, sir. Now, this is absolutely correct, sir. We cannot have a proper change in the active learning unless we train our teachers. We need to change the teacher's mindset. And to my experience, I feel, sir, that unless we include the technology-enabled solutions in our curriculum and in our lesson plan, we will not be able to change the mindset of the teachers. We have to start from the but. वो जो lesson plan बनता है वो ऐसा बने कि भैया टेक्नोलॉजी enable करनी पड़ेगी तुमको. जब तक आप वो नहीं करेंगे तब तक नहीं हो पाएगा. Teaching pedagogy has to emphasize on the experiential learning. The first stage, I think, in this entire process is we need to change our mindset and we need to plan it well. We need to plan to focus. I don't mind saying कि भैया जो आपके basics हैं, जो हम कहते हैं कि भाई हमारे बच्चों के basic clear होने चाहिए. Why should we teach basics in the classroom? We should not teach the basics in the classroom. मैं कहता हूँ कि भाई आप ऐसा करो, you have a concept of hybrid learning. आपके जो basics हैं उसके आप video lecture खुद बना दें. Because कोरोना में हम सब लोगों ने सीख लिया किस तरह से बनाना है lecture. आप वो लेक्चर बना के LMS में डाल दें and you tell the students कि भाई all this has to be studied by you. What we are going to talk in the class is the higher order thinking skills.
Absolutely.
This has to be along with the PBL and so many other things. So I think that is what needs to be done. Since Dr. Prem sir, you mentioned about the sharing of good practices in the initial address, I will take this opportunity to share a couple of good practices which I feel very happy about in my institution. The first one is that we started a concept of research faculty. 10% of our faculty members, हमने उनका teaching load कम कर दिया, and we said you have to publish the papers, you have to submit the project grants, and that has given us a very good dividends. Our NRF ranking we have stabilized, and we find that the research culture in the institution has started, and I'm very happy to find that some of the students are also publishing the research papers. So that is one good practice I wanted to say. Second good practice is that our final year projects, उसको हमने प्रोजेक्ट कहना बंद कर दिया है. We have started calling them products. भैया आपको सोसाइटी की इंडस्ट्री की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी है. It's not a project, copy paste project नहीं है कि आपने जाके खरीद लिया उसको कहीं से कॉपी करा लिया. It has to be a product. And we have started taking the problem statements which are hosted by a lot of government agencies as a part of the Smart India hackathons. So वो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट लिया, उसको स्टूडेंट को हमने सेकेंड ईयर में अलॉट कर दिया, इसके ऊपर काम करो. देयर इज अ मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी ग्रुप, देयर इज अ इंडस्ट्री मेंटर, देयर इज अ एलुमनाई मेंटर. ये सब मिलके आपको प्रोजेक्ट आपका काम करेंगे एंड देन देयर इज गोइंग टू बी एवैल्यूएशन. सो दिस इज अनदर गुड प्रैक्टिस. आई फाइंड इट इज गोइंग टू मेक द स्टूडेंट्स इंडस्ट्री रेडी. Third, I feel that all of us need to solve the industry problems. And सब हम लोगों के पास academic institutions में we have got a huge intellectual capital. Private industry faces the problem, उनके पास human resource का crunch है. But we have got surplus. Not surplus, we have got abundance. So वो जो students और हमारे faculty members हैं, उनको we need to probably engage them into the consultancy activities. And for that, in our institution, we have created a Section 8 company, sir. And we have also opened an account with IndiaMart. And services what we can offer, we are putting it onto the IndiaMart platform. And I'm very happy to say that some of the things have started materializing. We have started getting some work for our centers of excellence, which we are giving it to the students and faculty members. So I think this is another good thing, which I feel very, very happy about it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Garg. I think what you mentioned, and specifically, I think what we're producing today is generic students. So it's a pizza concept. Only cheese and tomato. Topics जो चाहिए वो आप बताइए, इंडस्ट्री को चाहिए वो हम बना के देंगे. तो वो पिज़्ज़ा कॉन्सेप्ट ही लेके आना पड़ेगा आने वाले टाइम में. मनोज अग्रवाल साहब.
Sir, myself Dr. Manoj Agrawal. I am education for policy. That was the forecasting of that person. He started his first school of cinema. So I want to know both the guys. आप दोनों से पूछना चाहता हूँ कि आपने कोई कोर्स किया है क्या? फोटोग्राफी और वीडियो का? जी, फोटोग्राफी और कोर्स किया आपने?
यस.
कहाँ से किया?
प्रोडक्शन लाइन कालका जी.
सर मैं तो फोटोशॉप पे काम करता था. शॉप पे काम करता. देखिए सर, our topic is active learning. So what is active today? Today is YouTube. So which we have to start a course on YouTube. So first of all we have to search what is active in the environment, and we have to start our learning on it. जैसा आपने कहा कि जो तुमको हो पसंद, हमारे पास वही कोर्स है सारे जो बच्चों को है पसंद. School of Cinema, School of Mass Communication, School of Arts, Culture. Our mission is love, peace and unity through arts and culture and technology. Any course is not possible today without technology, without ChatGPT, without WhatsApp, without Facebook. All the groups in every company is working on WhatsApp. तो WhatsApp पर कैसे लिखना है यही सिखाना है सर. आपने मेल लिखना तो सिखा दिया, WhatsApp पे लिखना नहीं सिखाया. They are using different technology. They are writing YOU only. So you have to teach them, you have to write these fundamentals on WhatsApp. So we are doing these type of things because we are skill-based technology we are providing. We have the animation. In a room, Bahubali can be developed. एक रूम के अंदर बाहुबली बनाई गई है सर. This is the technology. Our students are making films through cell phone. So we are doing this. So we are totally different. We don't have engineering, we don't have MBA. While I was director for 11 years in Accurate Institute, for 5 years in Skyline, I am also an engineer, but I changed my line. And I came in this university, and because I am a singer, so I completed my passion and hobby here. So it is a totally different active learning. Active learning, you have to search what is the requirement of the market, because you are developing the students as per the market demand. ये पहले भी था, महाभारत और रामायण में जब रामचंद्र पढ़ने गए होंगे तो उनको तीरंदाजी और घुड़सवारी सिखाई थी, तो मार्केट की डिमांड थी. So whatever you are doing as per the demand of the market. Today, everybody is demanding for different type of engineers who are well equipped with AI, who are well equipped with ML, who are well equipped with IoT, or we are developing them. After 5 years, technology is changing fast. What will happen? Again, you will start teaching them? No, so they have to start themselves. We are creating the people who can survive in this universe with new technology, and they have to do themselves. Thank you.
I recently have seen a course how to earn money by, who are promoting this course, how to earn money by making reels. So वही लाइन है जो सर की है, बच्चों को पसंद है। Exactly. तो आज बन रहे हैं ना सर, बन रहे हैं। रील से वो पैसा कमा रहे हैं।
That isn't a single reel. In fact, we have very clever that
And how this WhatsApp marketing is going on. So there are courses on WhatsApp marketing because every time you are on WhatsApp.
Thank you, Manoj. बहुत बढ़िया. I think we'll have to conclude this session. Actually, I wanted another roundtable discussion on student engagement, but हाँ अभी तो नहीं जय तो इस part of the teachers है. लेकिन सर हम तो ये करेंगे कि जो सबसे interesting चीज़ होती है सर वो there is a sweet dish वो आप ही लेके आएंगे. In the sense your cocktail का एग्जाम है.
Give me this opportunity to conclude with remarks which may not be so sweet. Truly speaking, there are many who raise this bogey that teachers are incompetent or they are not worth a teacher or they have been recruited by this. Teaching profession used to be called a noble profession. It was termed as nation builder. Rashtra Nirmata. At that time, sir will excuse me, at that time teaching was a choice. It was not by default. It used to be a choice that I'll be a teacher and I have to make this generation worth. I'll teach my village students so that they go out and earn something. Now, you must have read about Delhi University and so other universities there. What is going on? Not to name anyone. Anyway, those who are at the helm of affairs, those who have founded the universities themselves, the directors, the producers, they are kith and kin. They are not by virtue of their talent or experience, whatever. So do you think with this strata, with this facility, with this content of teaching community, so-called community, we can make students read, learn and excel? Second thing, we are talking about talent, skill. Very rightly he said, why we are working for some factory or some industry? Have they given us some money for that? Are we having collaboration? All right, you have collaboration with me. That is individual. But why education should become industry for an industry? We are not there to fed because the profit of that industry is not coming to academia. So the concept that we should feed the industry out of education institutions is for the benefit of industry. And you know pretty well.
And it's vice versa.
And vice versa.
It's vice versa.
And the other way also. Industries are feeding somebody else. Some other organizations also.
30% to the government, and our students will also be getting jobs. That is the logic.
Not everywhere.
Not everywhere.
Those who are having MOUs, they are getting it. But what about others? In banking sector, they are acquiring talent through education institutions. They have MOUs. So many banks. So how can you produce skilled when you have quota factory? 25 lakh students appeared for NEET. Only 2 lakh passed as per my information. What about 23? They will go into dilemma, depression. There were so many suicide cases in Tamil Nadu. It was Stalin that who stopped it.
Everywhere it is there.
Everywhere. So what about that? Is government or education industry or industry thinking of those?
Only 50,000 government seats and 50,000 private seats. Only less than 1 lakh seats are there. And the applicant were 21 lakh.
Rest of the students, rest of the youth. What will do that? They are useless. Because they cannot do anything else other than IT or engineering or whatever it is. So is this the right way that we are taking this whole youth towards or education industry now, education industry towards ocean? So that is my, and very rightly said, projects, you also said, projects, you go to Noida, Sector 18 market, whatever you want, you get the project.
Yes.
10,000
It's a
rupees.
business, big business.
Big business. So do you think that they are having
Getting
simulation?
internship certificate is a business.
Yeah.
That's where I think the teachers have to make sure it's done
Very,
fair. And
very
that
rightly said that even PhDs, what to say project, even PhDs, remove the first page, you will find the same thing in 10 PhD thesis.
Exactly.
Even papers nowadays, you find papers.
Papers, scopers, and everything सब दिखता है अभी.
No, but now things are getting away, sir. That's not the case, because we are getting smarter. Technologies are getting smarter than.
But not everywhere. You go to MIT University or some other university, they have got this. What is that?
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism check.
Huh? Plagiarism also has been tackled.
Yes.
It will give you 25.
Chat GPT बता देता है कहाँ से है सर वो
सर अभी तो चैट जीपीटी बता
अभी
देता है.
बता देता है, लेकिन अभी उसका भी है, एक सेंटेंस बदल दो, कॉमा बदल दो, आपका निकल जाएगा. I've done it. I've done it.
सर पैराफ्रेजिंग
सेंटेंस ऊपर का नीचे कर दो, निकल जाएगा.
पैराफ्रेजिंग का भी सब चेंज हो
सर
जाएगा.
कॉमा लगाओ बीच में और उसको व्हाइट कर दो.
White color, yes.
अच्छा, नई
कॉमा
टेक्निक.
लगा दो बीच में व्हाइट कर दो.
थैंक यू फॉर
फॉन्ट चेंज कर दो उसका.
नेक्स्ट चीज है कि अभी जो बातें कर रहे हैं हम सब मिल करके, इस पे पैनल डिस्कशन है. सुबह भी हमारे एक दोस्त ने बात कही थी कि हम दिल्ली की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ का, दिल्ली के मिरांडा हाउस का हम बात करते हैं बच्चों का. हम क्या झारखंड के या दरभंगा के स्कूल कॉलेजेस की बात करते हैं?
We generally do not talk about it.
है ही नहीं, जिक्र ही नहीं की. आपकी NEP टू बी ट्रू टू माई सेल्फ एंड टू द नेशन, कुछ लोगों का प्रोडक्ट है ये.
Very selective institution.
सेलेक्टिव इंस्टीट्यूशन, सेलेक्टिव पर्संस. उनका जो माइंड है, साइंस का जो माइंड है. मुझे बताइए, लॉ कहाँ है इसमें? सोशल साइंस कहाँ है इसमें? साइकोलॉजी कहाँ है इसमें? कहीं है? रोबोट बना करके बच्चों को रखा है, वो सोच ही नहीं सकते उससे ज्यादा. माँ बाप घर में, वो बाहर विदेश में, ना माँ बाप की चिंता. इंडिया में भी रहते हुए नहीं करते वो चिंता. क्या करेंगे? क्या हमारा यही सोशियोलॉजिकल थॉट है? कहीं है, कोई कंसेप्ट है NEP में कहीं पे?
It's in the question of implementation. सब कुछ हो सकता है. Sociology, psychology,
social psychology
it's not that. See, our constitutional preamble says, it talks of equality, inclusion.
ये है सर, मैं बता.
हमारे accessibility, availability, affordability. That is what NEP talks. And if it does not talk of subject specific or area specific education, sir.
वही है, वो कभी भी सर you are right. वो कहते हैं ये एक डायरेक्टिव है. वो नहीं कहते कि ये सही है हमारा. ये सब प्लीज यू थिंक ओवर इट एंड यू इम्प्लीमेंट द वे यू लाइक. हमारे पैरामीटर्स हैं. इन पैरामीटर्स में आप को करना है तो करो. दूसरा, नेक की बात किसी ने नहीं की.
Everybody is doing that for the papers.
हाँ, जाओ अटैची लेके चले जाओ और ले लो.
तो जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो आते हैं, उनको दे दो.
हम इंडस्ट्री की बात करते हैं. एग्रीकल्चर का इतना बड़ा सेक्टर है इंडिया में, जहाँ पे इतना क्या बोलते हैं, वर्कफोर्स चाहिए. वहाँ पे पूरे पंजाब में, बिहार से आकर के, यूपी से आकर के लोग काम करते हैं. पूरे बॉम्बे में जाकर के यहाँ से काम करते हैं.
पंजाब वाले कनाडा में करते हैं.
पंजाब वाले कनाडा में कर रहे हैं. एग्जैक्टली.
This year, 10,000
Australian.
students have taken admission in Canada, from specifically from
और
Punjab.
वहाँ जाके मैं देख के आया हूँ, अब जॉब नहीं मिलती उनको,
Sir, नहीं.
फ्रस्ट्रेशन में है, बच्चे डिप्रेशन में हैं
ना
और
घर आ सकते हैं,
सुसाइड करने से
ना घर आ सकते हैं,
ना वो घर आ सकते
Sir, 10 लाख बच्चों में से 6 lakh students are from Punjab.
बहुत कुछ हाँ
And they are coming back
तो
to
मैं सिर्फ कॉकटेल पार्टी पे मैं सिर्फ ये कहना चाहता हूँ
ये हम
कि ये बातें सिर्फ एक डॉक्टर साहब, एक गांव में कहावत है, पानी में कितना ही बलोना मार लो मक्खन नहीं आएगा, झाग आएगा। आप कितनी ही चर्चाएं कर लो, धरातल लेवल पे इसको ले जाने के लिए कहाँ सुबह जो बात हुई थी, कहाँ हमारे पास एसेसरीज है, कहाँ हमारे पास मोबाइल है, कहाँ बच्चों को आप पढ़ाएंगे। आप शहरों की बात कर लो, मेट्रोज की बात कर लो, बड़े लोगों की बात कर लो, जिनके पास जो अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं, मिडिल क्लास की बात कर लो, उससे आगे क्या?
नहीं, मोबाइल तो अब सबके पास है।
Sir,
झाड़ू लगाने वाला, रिक्शा वाला,
मोबाइल है, रिक्शे वाला, दुकानदार शहर में है, गांव में मोबाइल है, उसका मोबाइल पड़ा रहता है। नहीं मैम,
अब वो रोटी नहीं खाएंगे, अब लोग खाना नहीं खाएंगे लेकिन मोबाइल चार्ज करवाएंगे।
मैम आम आदमी के पास इतना नहीं है।
मैं सोने वाला हूँ सर, 1000 रुपये क्या
सीमा हैदर एक सेलिब्रिटी है, सेलिब्रिटी के पास तो होगा ही ना मैम, वो एक
सारी रात मेरे को 2
सबके पास नहीं है, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि नहीं है, सबके पास जितना होना चाहिए वो नहीं है। तो ये हमें एक नए तरीके से भी सोचना, जैसे सुबह कहा ना क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग होना चाहिए, तो वो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग कभी कभी रख लेना चाहिए कि क्या जो कुछ भी आ रहा है वो सब अमृत ही है या इसमें कहीं कहीं कुछ
मिलावट तो है
और भी है। थैंक यू वेरी मच, आपने सुना, बहुत शुक्रिया।
Let's conclude now.
Yeah, I think नहीं सर ने बहुत अच्छा कंक्लूड किया। I think both हम लोगों ने
उठ के उसकी तरफ भी देखो ना।
नहीं सर, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मेरे तो आप 12 बजे तक रात को गेस्ट हैं और उसके बाद होटल में स्टे भी करूंगा अगर रिक्वायर्ड है तो।
I think sir, it's so nice of you. I think we had fantastic views from everyone, each one of you, and everyone had a different perspective of their view and vision about the NEP as also the technology-enabled education. Fantastic. I think a lot of learning personally for me, and I'm sure all of you must be taking some learning along with you.
Direct to learn.